We got a good one. We got a good one tonight, drivers. Yes, we do. We do have a good one tonight. Now, as you guys know about the situation and the controversy that's going on with a company called Avala. I might be pronouncing it right this time, okay? Avala Express, a black ops company. I'm not sure if they're out of Chicago or if they're out of Wisconsin. But whatever the case is, it is a black ops company because I did go and look it up on the internet. Got a little bit more information about said company. It is a foreign-owned company, and I guess they contracted with Charmaine and her team to bring drivers on for them. Now, let me put this in a little bit of context for you guys. Charmaine Jeffers has one of the largest group on Facebook, and it is called CDL for Life. She's been running that group for umpteen years, right? And it has become one of the largest trucking groups on Facebook to date, all right? So within that Facebook group, she has gotten a lot of core drivers that she can actually potentially reach out to see if they are interested in taking up opportunities with companies like Avala, right? So I think that's probably might be one of the reasons why Charmaine Jeffers decided to partner with Avala. Now, to also put this in a little bit more context, there's another young lady in the midst, and her name is Taylor. She has trucks leased on to Avala as well. So there's a lot of layers to this situation right here. But it's also a distressing situation that's going on right here, right? Especially when drivers fulfill their obligations and they are met with a lack of transparency regarding their livelihoods, right? So our guest today, we have finally got together and had a conversation with Shamika Moore, one of the drivers that's having issues with their pay. Now, as I said before in the last video, there is 3 or 4 players in this story. Shamika and her co-driver, and then there's other drivers, Shauna and Shadrika. Now, as far as Shauna and Shadrika goes, Shadrika has put her information on Facebook as far as what went on with her co-driver getting arrested and the whole issue that's going on between them and Charmaine. I really haven't gotten into contact with them as of yet, but Shamika was willing to come on and share her side of the story. She has repeatedly requested completed pay statements for a clear confirmation of what she was still owed. Now, she explained from the start that she was depending on the remaining pay for Christmas and everything. And also she needed transparency in this whole situation. She completed about 6 loads, right? Including a 7-stop load initially stated for $3,000 and later received documents showing that the trip was up to $3,500. But despite those rates, the load was never fully paid. Now, over time, the promised pay changed multiple times, even after the work was already completed. Now, with all of that said, it created confusion and distrust from both Avala and the truck owners. Now, let me put this into context. Shamika Moore never worked for Charmaine Jeffers, okay? And we will get into the reason why she actually mentioned Charmaine's name in the first place. But she never worked or driven for Charmaine Jeffers. She drove for a young lady named Taylor. Now, Taylor is the owner-operator of her trucks that's leased on to Avala Express, okay? Now, during all of this situation, she decided to call Avala Express to find out what's going on. And they told her that the payroll was already paid and it was already sent to Charmaine. And that's why Shamika just so happens to mention Charmaine's name, okay? This is what Avala tells Shamika about where the money went. It's all about the money, right? The money was supposed to be, I guess, sent to Shamika, but to find out that the pay was actually sent to Charmaine. Now, while Taylor stated that she did not have access to the payroll software, she could not generate any statements or get any of the pay to her, okay? Now, of course, with all this is going on, the responsibility for payment has shifted between partners with no clear accountability on what's actually happened. So Shamika, she did get paid. She did get some money. It was all totaling up to about $2,000, but no accompanying pay statements explaining what was the payments to cover. But she did get about $2,000. But she also calculated that she was still owed $600 for unresolved trips, which in a text message that I have, that she is due some more money. Now, later in the conversation, she stated that she disputed a $550 fuel and death deduction, explaining that it was charged due to deadhead. Now, come to understand that Avala don't cover deadhead. So basically, they're driving to wherever they're coming from or wherever they're going to, damn near for free, okay? She was charged those deadhead miles. She was charged that $550, despite Avala dispatch telling her to deadhead, right? She did not deadhead on her own, right? Avala gave her the okay to deadhead, and that's why the fuel was what it was. Unfortunately, that fuel was deducted from her pay. So throughout this situation, she expressed exhaustion, frustration, stating that the issue was no longer about promise, right? But about receiving the pay for work that was already completed, leaving her without full compensation after fulfilling her driving obligations. So with that said, drivers, let's hear Shamika's side of the story. All right, so let's just jump right into it, man.
Okay.
This is a pretty interesting story that's going on right now. The players, and let me make sure I get everybody's name right, because I beat people's names up like crazy. So I'm going to apologize to you in advance if I mess up your name. You, of course, is Shamika, right?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, hold on.
It's Amadi Moore, but it's hyphenated.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. So Shamika, the other player is Shadrika, and the other player is Shauna. The other players is Charmaine. I get her name messed up too. And somebody named Taylor. Am I correct in that?
Well, it's partially correct. Me and my co-driver, her name is Anissa. I just say Anissa. I won't say her last name, but her name is Anissa. We drove in a truck together. Okay, I don't know Shauna or Shrika. I've never met them before, so I don't have no knowledge of whatever happened with the other parties.
Okay.
All I know is that I can tell you about me and Anissa's experience driving for Avala Express, which included Taylor as the owner of the truck, and the conversations I had with Charmaine.
Okay. So let me make sure I get this straight. All right. So the other two parties, because I guess they have an issue as well. I've seen.
Okay.
I think that issue was the one that actually initiated my commentary, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was her that came into the She Trucking Facebook group and explained her experience with Charmaine. And in that situation, I guess she was the one that was stranded and her co-driver got arrested. So, but this situation with you, Shamika, is totally different. Okay. So
it's
basically
totally different, two different situations.
Gotcha. Okay, so now that we got that straight, and to my understanding, is that Taylor's truck is leased on with Avala LLC?
Yes.
Am I to understand that?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay.
The side of the truck, the stickers say Avala Express.
Okay, but the owner-operator is Taylor.
Yes, that is my understanding, yes.
Taylor. Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you the floor, and you can just tell your story. Go ahead.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So I want to say this. I want to say that I heard Charmaine's live, the hour and 18 minutes of it, and I just want people to get my point of view and how we all come here. I seen Charmaine as a role model, as a mentor. I have talked to her on many occasions. I've gone on her posts when her mom was sick, and I looked up to her. No matter what happened in the past with all of whatever negativity that was coming along, I looked at her and said, she is a boss in the industry, making a way for women. I really looked up to her, like she's really doing her thing. So for me to come on here and make any clarifications or anything, it is me saying the main points of everything that I sent you, because I have the receipt.
Hold on!
This is not something that I'm just pulling from the sky. I just wanted what I was promised, what I worked for, and I wanted a pay statement to reflect what I worked and what I got. And so far, I have not got a clear pay statement to reflect the $2,000 that they've given me. And I'm going to break it down. Okay, so I want to say that when she said you a groupie and all of this stuff, no, I'm not no groupie.
So in the beginning, you looked up to Miss Jeffers and you saw that she was an intricate figure in the trucking industry, especially for women, right? But I want to ask you, as I ask everybody else, did you do your research on Miss Jeffers as far as her background, what she had to offer, some of the controversies that she was involved in before? And if you done that, why did you give her the benefit of the doubt to come in and do something with her? Well, not her per se. It looks like you're doing it more with this Taylor lady. But I guess you're using Charmaine as a focal point because that's where your aspirations lie with.
Okay, so let me just I'm gonna ask you your first question as far as all the negativity. Why would I go and work with her? Okay, so when I was listening to her live and she said, "Hey, I almost wrecked my truck. I got this multi-million-dollar contract," and when she said the Postal Service, I'm thinking that's the feds. You can't do no fraudulent stuff with the feds. So that's the reason why. And then I saw that was one of the reasons why. And then the second reason was the rates on it. The Arizona load was going for $3,500 a week to the per driver. That means my co-pilot would get $3,500 after everything, and I would get $3,500 after everything, right? So the job that I was currently at was nowhere near that, not even like making $2,000 a week. So I was like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And she was saying, like, this will be major. You can, like, not only just work this mail runs, you can also do the 1-year contract. So I'm thinking, like, wow, how much money I can save, $3,500 a week. I can pay my bills with $3,500, and all those other weeks I can just put it in savings, and my kids will have a great Christmas. So those were the things that I was looking at, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you how Charmaine Jeffers come into play as far as not just being a recruiter, okay? Even though I was driving Taylor's truck. Let's just go there, okay? So after I did the loads, and I want to get into the loads because the pay rate changed a couple times, okay? So yes, we were promised $3,500 for the Arizona load from December 1st to the 22nd. Okay, I'm sorry, December 1st to the December 21st. Okay, and we came on before the contract started. So the date that I came on and I did my first load was on November 23rd, okay? I picked up, and what the dispatch would do is they would send me and my co-driver, they would send the pickup and the drop-off, and they would give us the rate. And in our contract, what we were promised is per driver would get 25% of the net revenue to truck after the fuel. So that was the loads prior to the mail run. When the mail run contract started, that means that I would get the $3,500 a week pay rate. Well, that didn't happen, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. So I did the first load, Wisconsin to New Jersey. That was supposed to pay $3,000. It was 1 pick, 6 stops. At this particular time, it was a snowstorm. Just like she stated, it was a snowstorm. So I was thinking, like, the mail service don't always go as planned because of this all the snow buildup or however, okay? So when we got there, after we did, after we did Wisconsin to New Jersey, it was Thanksgiving weekend. I dropped my co-driver off in New Jersey after doing the 7 stops. This is between November 23rd, 24th, okay, around that time. I'm just going to take you down the timeline to now. So I dropped her off in New Jersey. Once I dropped her off in New Jersey, I had did 2 solo loads. Those 2 solo loads was picking up in New Jersey, 1 pick, 2 drops, dropping off in Richmond, Virginia, then going to North Carolina for $1,250. I then did North Carolina to Florida for $1,700. These were mail loads, okay? Dispatch was sending us or whatever. And I also want to just add, you don't get paid for deadhead miles, okay? So they want you to eat the fuel, and then you don't get paid for deadhead miles. Okay, yes. So I was able to, I'm from Florida, so I was able to go on Thanksgiving. I drove all the way on Thanksgiving to Florida. The next day I made my delivery. Then before they flew my co-driver into Orlando. Okay. Once they flew her into Orlando, they made me and her deadhead from Orlando all the way to Chicago to be in Chicago December 1st.
Avala had you the deadhead from Florida?
Orlando, Florida.
From Florida?
Yes, Orlando, Florida.
To Chicago? Yes. For free?
Yes, for free. And what Taylor and Charmaine said is that, oh, you guys will deadhead, and that will be included in the mail and the contract rate of the $3,500. So we said, oh, okay, it's gonna all even out. But that's what they stated. Now you've seen all the screenshots of what was sent and what they said I got paid, and we're gonna get to that too. So, and like I was telling them in all the text messages that I sent you, I said, because Taylor sent me a negative statement of negative 471 miles after I did 5 loads. And I was boo-hoo crying, but I want to go based on the list here, like of the loads I did. And I said, come on, I done did 5 loads and all I get is a negative $471. And I told her, I said, I can't do this. I said, I'm waiting for my family. This is not what was planned. And this is not what we talked about. And I told her, I said, I can't do it. I said, once I get to Orlando, I'm going to get off the truck, because on December 4th, they called us in a frantic, y'all pull over to the next truck stop at the logo. Pull over to the next truck. If you don't pull over the truck before 4 p.m., you're not going to get paid. Avala Express messed up on everyone's pay statement. You will not get paid. Go ahead and get the EFS $250, and it'll come off on the back end. Everything is always come off on the back end. It will come off on the back end, and Taylor said, I'll eat that. December 5th came, no pay statement, no pay. The only thing I got is, and I'm glad I did this, when I first came on, I got a cash advance, okay? When I first came on, that was like 2 days in, I got a cash advance. I'm glad I got the cash advance because I got that cash advance plus the one that they just said, pull over. If you don't pull over before 4 p.m., you're not going to get paid. And then also the $1,500 that they sent me, okay? That's the total of $2,000. I've done a total of 6 loads. The total loads that I've done, I have it written here. Let me be sure. The total load, a team load that I did with my co-driver was $8,800. The 2 solo loads combined was $2,950. That's over $10,000, and all I've received from them is $2,000. They still owe me for 1 load.
This is for you, right? This is the money, the $2,000 that was sent to you. But by the sounds of it, is it supposed to be more than the $1,500 altogether, or is this the $3,500 that was advertised? You got $2,000 of it. You still waiting on the $1,500 of it, right?
All right. No.
Okay.
No. What happened is, once we got to the mail facility, they told us that the Arizona load that we were contracted for was not available anymore. And Taylor had made that call to me and Anissa, and she said, she did the load lanes that are available. And we said, okay, we'll take Texas load. She said, that's paying $2,500. When we finally got to the mail facility, it changed again. It was not what that we talked about. We had to pick up a load from Chicago going to Tennessee, deadhead back from Tennessee, coming back to Chicago, pick up a load in Chicago, take it to Orlando. And what Avala Express did is every load we did, they gave us a pay rate for it. So, for instance, that Chicago to Tennessee that I just told you about, they said that would be for $2,300. The Chicago to Orlando will be for $3,500. But we have not got a pay statement. Well, let's just say me. I haven't got a pay statement to reflect the $2,000 that they've already paid me. Now Taylor stated you would not get paid the contract amount because you did not complete the weeks of the contract. Okay. She said, hey, you only did 2, starting from December 1st. You've only did 2 loads within that contract. So guess what she told me that will happen? You would get paid 40 cents a mile. 40 cents a mile. The pay changed again. 40 cents amount. She says 80 cents to the truck, you would get paid 40 cents a mile. Avala Express, on the 2 solo loads I did, which I sent that to you in a text, it stated that they paid 75 cents, okay, for solo, for the 2 solo loads I did. But Taylor stated that it would be 40 cents per driver, and I still have not got a pay statement. If you see the text messages that I sent you, it is asking, since December 5th, I need a pay statement. Can I please have my pay statement? And I want to just say this, because I know it may sound a little confusing.
So from what I'm seeing and from what I'm hearing conflicted pay amounts. Like you came in with a promise of $3,500, but then for some reason that run either got canceled or they blacklisted the run. Did you ever find out why the Arizona run was canceled or anything like that?
No, all that I know is when I got to the USPS facility, another driver was picking up for Arizona. So it wasn't available.
Okay, but you guys was the ones that was supposed to be on the Arizona run. Why was there other drivers picking up for a run that you quote unquote contracted for? Was that explained to you any kind of way?
No, all that I know is that I was just assuming that it was not just particular one. It was several teams that could do those each lane, like Georgia, Arizona, Texas. And when she said, hey, unfortunately, ladies, that lane is not available anymore, this is what I have. We chose Texas because my co-driver lives in Texas.
But she didn't give you no definitive reason why you was taken off of the Arizona run, even though that's what you actually signed up for to do initially, right?
Exactly. No.
Okay, so you just got a call up out of the blue. Hey, Arizona's not available. It wasn't between you and your co-driver. You guys didn't bother to kind of ask, because by the initial statement that you said, the $3,500 was the golden ticket of the reason why you came on in the first place. So to get told that it's not available and they don't have a tangible reason, between you and your co-driver, y'all didn't say, can we dig a little deeper? Why?
Unfortunately not. It just, when they said it wasn't available, but this is what we have, they gave us the option. Taylor gave us the option that we could just get off the truck and go home, or we can just choose what they have available. And we were already 3 loads in already, the pre-mail loads. We were already 3 loads already in. So it was like, yes, we could have walked away with just the 3 loads that we've already done, but we were already in the truck. It was like, we know things happen with the mail facility and things change all the time. And we had in mind that we just wanted to make some money, and we were willing to do another lane if it was available. And if they said there was no other lane and then we just had to get out the truck, we would have did that. But our end goal was, let's both get this money. Let's get our money. We got responsibilities. I have 4 kids. My disabled husband, I have a responsibility at the house. And she also had a responsibility too. And it's just the goals that we had. So we wasn't ready to just give up just because that wasn't available. We really had the mind frame of, we're ready to make some money, and we have things that we have to do. So yes, we should have probably asked more, but she said it's not available. So I wasn't gonna push.
Maybe you should have. I'm just saying, me being the outsider looking in and hearing the situations like this that happen to drivers all the time. Yeah, I think I would have pushed, because if I came in up under the pretense of getting $3,500 for a particular run that I signed up for and came on to do, only to get to the company or the pickup just to be told, oh, it's not available, I will feel some kind of way about that. But as you said, your thought process at the point was, let's go ahead and get this money. And I get you guys. It's all about getting the money, try to make something out of something. And I get it. So now you're doing these loads. You're not doing this particular mail runs now. You're just doing what? odd runs for 40 cents a mile?
No, all of it was mail runs. They were just they're called pre-mail runs. The first one I did, the solo loads I did, they were not considered to be mail runs until the contract started, which was December 1st through to December 21st. So what we were promised was, before the mail runs, we were promised 25% of the net revenue to the truck after fuel. Okay, that is what we were promised. But when I spoke with Taylor and Charmaine, they said that we used too much fuel. That's the reason why we didn't. The pay statement that they did give me it had a negative $471 on it. And I said, and I was talking with Charmaine at the time, and I stated to her, I said, listen, with the fuel, it's a discrepancy, because you cannot charge us, like, tell us we got to go deadhead, and then we got to pay for the fuel too, and we're not getting paid. That's like double dipping. It's either you're gonna take out whatever the fuel was for the deadhead and pay us like that, but don't double dip. So she said, okay, we're gonna look into that. That's what she stated. She said, we're gonna look into that. But anything after that Orlando load, she specifically stated that will be included in the contract rate. But Taylor told me that the reason why we are not going to get the contract rate is because we did not complete the contract. So my thing was, I'm not going to go weeks and weeks and weeks on you not providing me a pay statement. It's not really structured. When the Arizona wasn't available, you said we're going to Texas. We didn't get a contract for that. It's just that I was uneasy. And I told my co-driver, I said, prior, they've been messing up on your pay. But I said, on December 5th, if they do not pay me for the 2 weeks that I worked, I am getting off this truck, because Taylor stated in her contract, and I would have got off the truck the first week, but she said you got 1 week in the hole, and that second week you would get paid. And that is the only reason why they got 2 weeks out of me. If I would have known, if they would have been 1 week, I would have got off that truck the first week of not getting paid. But I was already 2 weeks in. I had already did a total of 6 loads. And just like I stated, the total amounts of what the loads were.
It just sounds so inconsistent and conflicting and pretty much confusing on my part. I don't do logistics. I'm not an owner-operator, but I know a lot of owner-operators. They all operate differently. How they pay their drivers, how they contract their drivers, or how they specifically lay out what you the driver, get and what the company get. It just sounds all convoluted to me in all of this. You drive for the young lady Taylor, not Charmaine.
That's correct. That
okay.
Taylor's truck, yes.
Okay. Now, where did Charmaine come into all of this, and why was her name brought up in your issues with Taylor and Avala?
Okay. When I called Avala Express accounting department to ask about my pay, okay, Avala Express told me that we've already paid you your payroll. I said, okay, I haven't received it. They stated that we paid your payroll to Charmaine Jeffers and that you are to go to her for your payroll. So when I called Taylor, every time I called Taylor, Charmaine would chime in. It's almost like Taylor would get her advice, okay? And even though I talked to Charmaine, I said, I thought you guys were like assistant. And she said, no, Taylor has her trucks. I have my own trucks. I paid all my drivers. So Taylor is going to her for assistance and helping with the pay. But I only mentioned Charmaine Jeffers' name because several times of me speaking with Avala Express, they stated they paid the payroll to Charmaine, okay? So that is why I mentioned her name. There would not be no reason for me to mention her name if Avala Express would not have told me on several occasions that they gave my payroll to her and that I need to go to her for my pay.
All right, so for clarity, again, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm going in circles, but you drove for Taylor. Taylor, again, leased on with Avala. Am I pronouncing that name right? Avila?
Yes, Avala Express.
Avala Express, as Charmaine is separate. It sounds like your issue is more with Taylor than it is with Charmaine, right?
It would not be an issue with Charmaine if Avala Express accounting department did not tell me that they have paid my payroll out to Charmaine Jeffers. They told me they did not pay Taylor. They paid Charmaine Jeffers. So when I went to her, she said, "You're not my driver," but I'm only going by what Avala Express is telling me on several occasions. We can call them tomorrow, and they will state the same thing. They've given my payroll to Charmaine Jeffers, and I explained to Charmaine, even I had always on November 26th, I was given my first cash advance. On December 4th, they told us that before 4 o'clock to pull over to get the other $250. On December 12th, on December 12th, Taylor sent me a screenshot of it at 11:21 p.m. saying I would get $1,500. I received that $1,500 on December 15th at 1 p.m. from Zodiac Trucking, okay? I didn't get it from Moog Freight. I didn't get it from Avala Express. I got it from Zodiac Trucking, okay? That's $1,500. So if you say, yes, Taylor's trying to help me with getting my pay statements, getting paid, yes, but she consults and gets advice. Her and Charmaine is talking to me together on the phone about my pay. And even in the text messages that I sent you, they both are working together to try to get my pay. So I talked to Charmaine on the phone, and she said there is going around, people are defaming her name and all of this. And I said, listen, Charmaine, I said, once you guys get my pay together, you get it corrected, get my pay statement, I don't have a problem going on the internet, the social media, and saying they have corrected my pay. They have paid me what they said they would pay me. I don't have a problem with that. And I told her that. But at this point, I'm frustrated. Even if she paid me the 40 cents, yes, I would be, even if Taylor paid me the 40 cents, yes, I would be mad because that's not what was promised. But I just want something, because at this point, it just feels like they can just do whatever they want. I just want something. And they stated that all of this will be rectified before Christmas. And it wasn't. It was not. And I'm really upset about that. So,
did anybody provided any type of proof that the payroll was sent to Charmaine? I'm assuming Zodiac Trucking is Charmaine's company, right?
I'm not really sure of that, but that is, and when I look in my checking account, that is where the $1,500 came from, Zodiac Trucking.
Okay. So allegedly, I'll say allegedly, Charmaine Jeffers is the owner of Zodiac Trucking.
Okay.
But they didn't give you any type of proof that they actually sent the money to them, right?
No, it was just on the phone,
word.
is what they stated. Yes. And what I did is I did reach out to the CEO of Avala Express on December 15th. I sent you a screenshot of that, and I have not gotten anything back in writing or a call. I reached out to the manager, Ben, of Avala, and I have not got a call or anything.
Why does it sound to me that Avala is kind of separating themselves from Taylor and Charmaine Jeffers? That's what it sounds like. I seen the email that you sent me, and you haven't gotten a response. With all this stuff going on, you would think Avala would actually come in and say, hey, here's our side, because we haven't heard nothing from them at all, right?
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything, no.
So it's to me, like I said in my first commentary, why would the company send your money to a promoter? Because when I initially heard about this mail run deal and Charmaine was promoting it, it just sounds to me that she was just promoting the company and was bringing the drivers on. So by the looks of it, and what people were saying in the comment section was like, oh, well, that's her company. Oh, okay. But come to find out, this is a whole separate trucking company. Something is not right here. Either Avala is not paying them, or they got paid and it wasn't what they was promised to pay, and then they had to go and rectify their driver situation. something is not right. And it just sounds more towards the company than anything. And they haven't even came out to say, hey, here's our side of the story, because we see this is blowing up on social media. And I would think they would want to come out and clear their name in all of this mess, right?
I would hope that they would do that. That would be their right thing to do. My co-driver and myself, we returned their truck. We made sure once my co-driver dropped me off in Orlando, she returned the truck and the keys and left the truck in a good condition. You would think that we've done 6 loads with them. We've turned in the BOLs, turned in the receipts, did everything that we were supposed to do, that they would step in and say, hey, for the loads that they've completed, at least let us intervene. At least the CEO respond back, even if assistant to respond back something. That was not done. And talking to Taylor, it just made it seem like that it was a lot of confusion, that her and Sean, they wanted to have more control as far as in making sure that the drivers got paid, but it was resistance between Avala and themselves. And I'm not really sure of that, but I just told her, I said, I'm patient. I'm just on Friday, I went line by line with every load I did, because some of the loads are missing. One of the loads are missing. And I really do believe that with Taylor, that she really did try all her best to assist me and help me with getting paid and everything. I really think that I'm not really sure about Charmaine, because she, once I went under her post and stated to her that I didn't get paid prior to the $1,500, she got mad at me and blocked me. But we did come back on the phone, and I had apologized for going under her post, and she stated that she would help me. But then I saw that live, and she went off on a tantrum calling me a groupie. I was like, oh, Lord, I ain't getting paid. But I'm hoping after all of this, I'm hoping, even if it's the 40-cent amount, even though that is not what I signed up for, I would hope that they would be fair in doing the 75 cents. What Avala sent me a pay statement, but nothing was never paid. They sent me 75 cents per mile for the 2 single loads. But Taylor said, that's wrong. You were supposed to be paid 25% of the revenue, so that's wrong. You can disregard that. So I just really hope after all of this that I am paid out, if it's the 40 cents for that last load, and I just go my separate way. Am I trying to make their company look bad? No.
All right, so you did get $1,500, right?
I got a total of $2,000.
Oh, so you got a total. So you got a total of $2,000. Let me make sure I get this clear. You got money in a total of $2,000 from Charmaine and Taylor.
That's right.
Okay. Did that come with a pay statement?
No.
Okay. Was there any explanation on how the $2,000 was paid? Like what loads you ran or whatever the case?
No, that still has not been generated yet.
Okay. If you got the $2,000, why do you still want the pay statement?
Because the $2,000 needs to reflect the loads.
Gotcha.
What was paid out.
Gotcha.
And also I want to file taxes.
Gotcha.
You know, I can't just say,
right.
Hey, I don't even know who to go to. I don't even know who to claim on my taxes. Do I say Avala Express, or do I say Mode Freight? Or do I say Zodiac Trucking? I really don't even know. I'm so confused.
If I was to get paid, I would want a statement. I would want a statement too. But I was just kind of thinking in my head right now, like, well, you got $2,000. Maybe we just take the L and just go on with our life. That's what I'm thinking in my head. But I get what you're saying as far as want to do taxes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then also I talked to my dad. He's from Nigeria, and he told me, he said, whatever you work for, you make sure that they pay you, and that's what I want. That's what I want.
You told me that there was more to that conversation that you and Charmaine was talking about. Basically, you went over it as far as what you wanted and what you was going to do. I'm not sure if your post is still up, because the post that I saw was from the other driver in the She Trucking group. I saw your post in another trucking group. As of right now, I know you're still waiting for them to resolve everything in this story. Are you going to go back and take that post down?
Well, the post that I did, it was only up for maybe 2 hours. I deleted that post once the $1,500 was sent because I felt like with any company, if there's a discrepancy, you allow them to fix it. But the reason what made me put that post in the first place is I text Taylor, and I'm calling Avala Express accounting department, and I was not getting a direct answer. I felt like I was still getting ignored. You have to keep in mind, I got off the truck December 5th, and this is now December 15th, okay? 10 days later, and I'm still wanting my check. My bills are still coming. I was in desperate need. Like, come on, you guys promised this, okay? So I did tell Charmaine, okay? I told her, I said, because she said, I'm going to help you with getting your pay. She said, but can you take down the post? The post was already deleted, but what she wanted was to tell everyone that it's been resolved. Right now, it has not been resolved. I'm still missing a pay. And I told her, I will go on Facebook, social media, and tell everyone that I got paid. Was it what the contract stated? No. Was it the 25% minus the fuel? No. If they pay me the 40 cents, I just want to just take that 40 cents for that last load, 40 cents per mile for that last load, and move on.
All right. So when she asked you to take down the post and everything, she did mention the fact that you never drove for her. You drove for Taylor. Like I said before, your issue is more so with Taylor than it is with Charmaine. But the only reason why Charmaine's name got brought up in the first place is because Avala, the company, told you, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Would it be fair to say that, okay, well, Charmaine was here to help me? Let me rephrase that. Would it be fair to come back on to say I didn't drive for Charmaine and I specifically drove for Taylor? And the only reason why I mentioned Charmaine is because Avala is giving me the runaround and throwing Charmaine's name in the midst? Because Avala was the one that told you that they paid Charmaine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They didn't say nothing about the Taylor chick.
Okay, so just hear me out.
Okay.
In my post, if you go back over my post, it stated that I drove for Taylor, but the reason why Charmaine's name came up is because Avala Express accounting department told me that they gave my payroll that I worked hard for to Charmaine Jeffers.
Right.
Now, if that is incorrect, then Avala Express accounting company CEO should say this is the correct thing and this is what went on.
Right.
I'm not going to throw someone's name out there because they're a recruiter. I'm only giving you facts.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So if that is incorrect for Avala to have told me that, then they should say, because I know they can play back recordings. They can say we gave her incorrect information, but because on several occasions I've called Avala Express accounting department, they have stated that they've given my payroll not to Taylor but to Charmaine Jeffers, and I've told Charmaine the same exact thing. So if that was incorrect, then she should go back to Avala and state, listen, you guys are giving out incorrect information. You did not give me the payroll. They're working in the same company. She's in that same facility, Avala Express. It's not hard to go over to accounting department, the management for accounting department, and say, hey, you guys are not giving me the payroll. The only payroll you may be giving me is for my truck, but for Taylor truck, you're giving that to her. And I would never have mentioned her name.
Okay. See, I think that's what I mentioned. I think that's what I said in my initial commentary, the very first one, because at this point, I thought she was just a recruiter, but I guess she was bringing them on to drive for her truck and drive for Taylor's truck as well, I guess. But That's what I was saying. Like, why would the recruiter get you guys money if you driving for Avala? That's what I was thinking. Okay. All right. So what now? What now, Shamika? What would be a fair resolution look like for you right now?
A fair resolution, what I would want is I would want what Avala Express sent, the statement that they sent, 75 cents per mile. If I can't get that, and just like Taylor said, hey, you didn't finish the contract, you're going to get 40 cents. It's 80 cents per truck per mile. Okay, I'll take the 40 cents per mile for the last load that's missing, and I'll just move on. But don't say, oh, you're lying and you're a groupie and all of this stuff. I'm a Christian. I don't have no reason to lie. I have everything documented. My co-driver, she documented everything. And I wish Taylor and I wish them well. I don't wish them no harm. But I want people to know that I am not lying.
All right. So overall, this whole situation just boils down to pay discrepancies. Different responsibilities, missing pay, delayed pay statements, and your frustration on work that was already completed. I get it.
Exactly.
I get it. So what I want to say is that I'm not sure if you're familiar with companies out of the Illinois area. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. I'm just saying.
I know.
It is not a good look.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
Yeah.
You really got to do your research, not just on people that you admire on the internet, but the companies that you sign on to. You just got to do your research, because a lot of drivers that worked it for companies out of Illinois, they don't have nothing good to say about them. I'm just saying. I just feel that you probably just became another victim of it by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and this was a lesson learned. I feel that I worked hard for them while I was in that truck. Me and my co-driver, we worked really hard for them. We wanted the project to be successful. And once I saw that this is not what I signed up for, I exited. And I felt that I exited in a good way, that I should just be paid for what I worked for and move on. No bad blood, no negativity with each other. And I think I'm being fair. I think I'm being patient and fair. And I just want my last load that I was paid for. I wish that the CEO of Avala Express, the management, would have stepped in sooner when we brought this to them. We didn't just bring this to them after we did 6 loads. We brought this to them way ahead of time. And I wish that they will now, to this day, chime in, see what's going on, and whatever they can fix, that they can fix so it does not happen to other people.
All right. I appreciate you coming on and clearing up a lot of misconception, because like I said, there's a whole bunch of stories that's intertwined with this situation. So that's why in the beginning I said I wanted to make sure that I got the parties right. You had nothing to do with the other 2 drivers that have issues with Charmaine. Okay, so you, as you cleared up, you wasn't Charmaine's driver. You really didn't have an issue with her. It was just the fact that her name came up because of what Avala told you. And the fact that you drove for Taylor, it was a whole bunch of misunderstandings and discrepancies in that whole situation, because you came in thinking that you're going to get paid one amount for one route, only to find out that you got bumped from that route with no real reason or anything of that matter. And then you said, okay, cool, no problem. We still want this money. We'll take the Texas route, only to find out that was convoluted as well. And only to get reverted back from $3,500 all the way down to 40 cents a mile.
Yes.
That's crazy work right there. But you did get a total of $2,000 from them. You just now waiting on the little bit more that they owe you, as well as a settlement so you can do your taxes.
Exactly. One more load I'm missing, and that is from Chicago to Orlando for $3,500. But they stated that I would get 40 cents for the mile. Yes.
So when do you expect that to be rectified?
Taylor told me that it would be rectified by Friday.
Okay.
And I text her, and it's not rectified yet.
Oh, you talking about this past Friday?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So.
And that is the load that I did December 5th, but she stated that it will be rectified by Friday. And I text her, and she said nothing at all. So hopefully Monday. I have high hopes. All I can do is text her if any update.
Now, would you think that trying to get that rectification for your money, you think that she's still trying to get the money that's owed to her from the company? And that could be the holdup right there?
I'm not really sure of that. All that I know is that she was not aware that that load was missing. All she kept saying is a lot of drivers are missing trips. And so I told her, I said, because she had sent a text, Taylor sent a text stating that I overpaid you. And I said, okay, well, if you overpaid me, we can go line by line of the load and the fuel to see if you overpaid me. And so I said, I have plenty of time. That was in a text message. So she called me on Thursday, and we talked, and we went line by line over everything. And she said, yes, this load you're missing. She said, okay, I'm going to send an email to them. But she said, I'm going to send it first thing on Friday. And so when I text her about 4:30 p.m. that evening, end of the day, she said, it's nothing at all. I said, any updates? She said nothing at all. So we're going into, I did that load on December 5th. Today is, I think, the 27th or 28th. Today's the 28th. So tomorrow's the 29th? Hopefully by tomorrow. I'm not sure. I really do believe that Taylor is trying to help me.
It sounds as though that she's trying to put in the work, and it sounds as though that she's trying to get what is due to you or due to her via the company. It just sounds like the company is doing some backhanded stuff. That's what it's my opinion. Yeah. Don't come after me for my opinion. I'm just saying it just seems like this company is just doing some real shady stuff, man. And it's just making Charmaine and this Taylor lady look more problematic than what it actually is. So I got high hopes for you. I hope everything works out for you. But as I said before, for clarity, there's really not no issue with the boss lady or Taylor for that matter, right?
Yeah, this is really not Charmaine, she was, just like I say, a mentor. Taylor, me getting to know her, very sweet lady. And once I get this resolved as far as pay statement and my last load, to be honest with you, moving on, I won't do any business again with them. This was a lesson learned. Do I hate them? No, I don't hate them. I don't hate them at all. I wish them the best. Do I feel that Avala Express could have did more? Yes, they should have done more. I drove their trucks. I had their fuel cards. Their names on the side of their truck. Their name, Avala Express name is on the trailer. Avala Express names are on that truck. So, yes, I feel that Avala Express could have done more and that it landed on Taylor and Charmaine. But when Avala Express accounting is saying, hey, we paid her, they're pushing the blame on her. And so that's what I have. That's what I have to go on. And when she had cursed me out and said she's not going to help me get my pay, I felt like, who's going to help me now? Who's going to help me get what I work for? And in my voice, even with talking with her, I'm frustrated. This is the first time that I've ever worked for any company or anybody, and I am fighting to get my pay. I've never in my life dealt with this before. And I reached out to my trucking buddy, and he told me, you put that on Facebook because that could maybe help someone else. And that's what I did. And when I saw that Charmaine and Taylor were trying to rectify the situation, not they rectified it, they were trying to, I said, let me remove it and give them a chance to rectify the situation. So just like I told Charmaine and I told Taylor, once I get my last pay, I will go on Facebook and say, Charmaine, Jeffers, and Taylor Gibbs have paid me my last pay. Was it what we agreed on? Was it the contract amount? No. Was it 75 cents amount? No. they paid me. And I will leave it like that.
I appreciate you coming on, clearing everything up, especially from your side of the story, because there's still more sides of the story. But you coming on here, sharing your story, your experience with everything, I really do appreciate you doing that. It's the actual takeaway that you got from all of this.
I would say my takeaway from this is to do my research a little bit more before I just jump into something that is, like my mom would say, too good to be true. And when I even decided to do this, I didn't just do this for me. I did this for my family. I did this for my kids. I've seen a lot of great things ahead. And I blame myself a little bit because I did not do all of my research, and part of me is to blame for this. But I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt, no matter what negativity comes on someone's name. I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt that things will be different, and that is what I saw. I saw that maybe things will be different in this situation, and I feel bad that it went this way, but I just want people to know that I'm not a liar. I have the receipts, I have the text messages, I have the everything, the contract, everything. I can show proof. So for anyone to get on social media and say that I'm a liar, no, I'm not. All I want is what I worked for. All I want is what was promised. And at this point, I'm settling. Yes, I was promised $3,500 and changed several times, but I will settle with the 40 cents and move on.